Real Virginia is proudly produced by the Virginia Farm Bureau Federation. Since 1926, Farm Bureau has been working to preserve Virginia farms and our rural heritage. Visit our website at vafb.com.
Hello everyone, and welcome to Real Virginia, a show about Virginia agriculture and the people who produce the wonderful local products we enjoy. Brought to you by the Virginia Farm Bureau. Virginia has hundreds of farms that have been operated by the same family for more than a century. A popular trend allows gardeners more flexibility in their operations when planting. And we visit scenic York County for this week's County Agricultural Close-Up.
Home will always be Virginia, between the Blue Ridge and Chesapeake Bay. Atlantic to Appalachia, home in my heart always.
Welcome back to Real Virginia, everyone. We're coming to you this week from Meadow Farm in Henrico County. While this historic property is now being used as a park and demonstration site, hundreds of century-old Virginia farms are still being run by their original families. Ricky Gibson explains.
The General Assembly established the Virginia Century Farms program 25 years ago to recognize farm operations that have stayed in the same family more than a century. As of January of 2022, 1,508 farms are officially registered with the Century Farms program, places like Greenfields Farm in Isle of Wight County.
My father lived here as a child, and when I married, the house was vacant, it had been rented, so I got married and moved here in 1970, and then my children have been raised in it.
Participants in the program have to meet 3 criteria. The farm must be in the same family at least 100 years. It must still be lived on or farmed by a descendant of the first owners, and it must generate at least $2,500 in farm income each year. Jen Perkins with the Virginia Office of Farmland Preservation in the State Department of Agriculture says there's no typical model for a century farm, but all are success stories.
We see the wide variety of ag in Virginia. You know, you've got multi-generational dairy farms, you've got people who are soybean farming, people who have transitioned potentially from cattle to grains. It sort of covers the whole spectrum.
Perkins says the majority of the operations in their system are between 100 and 150 years old. One reason for that is that farming is a tough business to succeed in for one generation, much less many. Years ago, the Butler family made their money from peanuts and row crops. Now, peanuts are gone, but they've added cattle and cotton.
When my great-grandfather bought it, it was 333 acres, and much of it at that time was forest land and small fields. So my grandfather and father have cleared land, and I have cleared land, and my children have been a part of clearing land. At the present time, the farm itself is about 1,700 acres. We're farming more acres than that. My 2 children are renting some land. It wasn't enough when they came back from college for 3 families to live on, so we branched out and started renting some farmland.
In the morning we're doing something, and now we're doing something different. You get a variety of work. Now all farms are not like that. I know some farms are strictly cattle farms, some farms are row crop. And I think Samuel likes that it's a change. Like he likes construction and working on engines and running equipment, and he likes the cows, and Rachel likes cows. Rachel don't care much about row crop farming. She don't want to run equipment, but she likes animals. But you get a variety of things, and some things you like better than other things. So we can live without. I think that's something special about handing down to them, because you get to see what they like, and they know what you like.
Teamwork like that has paid off in a successful partnership among family members. Johnny Butler's children are the 5th generation farming their homestead. Part of their success comes from being good stewards of the land, always working to improve its fertility and prevent erosion.
what we do to the land is how we make a living and buy food for ourselves to eat, go pay doctor's bills, pay for our children to go to school. So we are treating the land because in return, it's feeding us. We can't damage it or do a poor job because that's what's putting food on our table as well as producing food for others.
Cover crops have been planted on this farm since I can remember. I mean, as a kid, there was always rye, wheat planted even where you wouldn't go pick it. We're still doing that. We graze the cattle on some of it in the wintertime, and we've gone from moldboard plowing every acre you had to now we're basically strip tilling every acre we got. We are not doing any other than beans behind wheat, not doing any no-till, but everything else is strip till.
Owning a Century farm is certainly a point of pride for the Butler family and hundreds of other Virginia farmers. Perkins says it demonstrates perseverance and much more.
I think it just highlights the importance of agriculture in Virginia, both from an economic point of view, but then also, as we're seeing more and more, a tourism point of view. And it just really exemplifies the history and culture of being a Virginian, I think.
Not many people have the opportunity to go back 3 generations. A lot of people don't even know who their great-grandfather was, but I have actually walked with him on this same yard, and now I'm walking with grandchildren. So not many people have been as fortunate as I have to be a part of that many generations. The farm has been good to all of us. The land is basically the same. Times have changed. Procedures that we do have changed. I'm clearing land with an excavator. My grandfather cleared it with a grubbing hoe, and my great-grandfather with a grubbing hoe. But the land has stayed the same, and we have changed farming operations. I mean, I was told that they sat on the beam of a plow and waited for the sun to come up. They hitched the animals up, ate breakfast, and sat in the dark for the sun to come up. Of course, we've got equipment now that's 8 rows wide, 40 feet wide, GPS guidance system. Our equipment has changed so much, but we're still farming the same soil.
The older I get, I think it's more special because I guess you reflect on, you're standing on their shoulders is the size of it, and it's kind of unique when you talk to people about it. It's just a surprise that you're still in the same place. So I think that's kind of makes you feel good, I guess, to me.
When you have so much invested in keeping a family business going, the inevitable question is, will your children's children follow in your footsteps? Despite sprawling growth from Hampton Roads, the Butler family is optimistic.
I think we're like anybody, we're going to face challenges, and they will face them. I think just probably the scariest thing here that they would have to face is people moving the encroachment, and then that just, you're in their way, and it, safety and all them things play into it. But I think it's enough land here on the farm, and we're diversified enough. I think it's very possible that they could pass it down.
Heritage, family, and farming. 3 combinations that are welcome in any society. Century Farms encompass them all, and Perkins says her office is adding more operations to the roster every year. In Isle of Wight County, I'm Ricky Gibson reporting.
Like any other family business, passing a farm from one generation to the next is not an easy accomplishment. Because farmland can be very valuable, trusts, wills, and other legal strategies are needed to make sure all parties are satisfied. But farm financial experts say the biggest barrier is often a family's failure to plan for an orderly transition. Without a plan and a designated heir to continue the farm, farm property can end up being sold to fairly divide an estate. Nationwide, only about 20% of family farms successfully transition to the next generation.
Hi, today we're going to be talking about grow bags from the ground up. Please stay tuned. We're stronger together, especially at this difficult time. For over 90 years, we've watched our membership grow, and we're honored to be part of such a special community. Thank you to the farmers who provide for us every day. Virginia Farm Bureau is proud to serve our members, their families, and to give back to our local communities. That's the Farm Bureau way.
Grow bags are a popular trend in home gardens. Chris Mullins with Virginia Cooperative Extension visits with an expert who explains why. From the ground up.
Hi and welcome. Today we're in Warrenton, Virginia. We're at the Fauquier Education Farm. We're here with Mr. Jim Hankins, the Executive Director of the farm. Jim, thanks for having us today.
Always a pleasure.
Well, Jim, we're talking about grow bags today, and I can kind of get an idea of what that might be, but can you explain to our audience what a grow bag is?
Grow bags are simply these plastic fabric bags that we've filled with soil, and we're using them as a growing medium rather than a raised bed or something like that. It allows for a tremendous amount of flexibility. You know, we're in a brand new greenhouse. I wasn't really sure how I was going to set it up. If I had raised beds in here, I would be committed. The grow bags allow me to have flexibility. It actually took a lot less soil to fill up these 200 grow bags than it would have to put in raised beds.
Okay.
And it's just, you know, the cost of the lumber alone for raised beds would have been as much as the greenhouse. And these grow bags are really affordable, particularly when you're buying them in bulk.
Sure.
And it works really well.
It makes sense, and it's, yeah, like you said, you can just move them around as you need to.
Yep.
Now, you mentioned the soil. What do you fill these bags with?
We've got these filled primarily with mushroom compost.
Okay.
And then right at the very top, a couple big coffee cans full of a growing medium, potting soil, a little handful of fertilizer. That's all that went into it. And, you know, I'll test this soil regularly, you know, each year to keep it amended. And, you know, another great thing with the grow bags, you know, you can switch things up. You're not committed forever and ever with the garden soil.
Well, Jim, this is more of a professional setup. Can a home gardener or a homeowner use something like this?
Absolutely. You know, when I first started thinking about this, one of my first moves was to take some of these grow bags home. I ordered some online. I bought these and took some of these exact same ones home. You know, anybody with sufficient sun to grow vegetables can have a garden in these grow bags. If you've got an apartment, if you're renting property, you don't want to dig up the lawn, these things, you know, a few grow bags and you can get a pretty decent garden going.
That's great. So that person that puts it on their deck or their patio, they're going to get some rainfall naturally, right,
Yeah.
to help irrigate the crops, unless there's a drought.
Yeah.
But now in here, what do you, and this might be something that people could use also even outside,
Yeah.
What do you do for irrigation here?
Well, you know, at home, I'm watering with the hose.
Okay.
But you can see these nice little drip tubes going in. So I've got a drip irrigation system. Eventually I'll have it on a timer. Right now, all I have to do is turn it on, and each individual pot is getting a steady stream of water. I'll run that for, you know, 45 minutes or an hour, turn it off. Eventually I'll have it on a timer, so it'll come on every 12 hours for about an hour.
Well, this is such a really neat idea, and I notice you've got different crops here, so you can grow a lot of different things in it.
Absolutely. You can grow anything you can grow in a garden, you can grow in a grow bag.
Well, good. Thank you so much again for letting us come out here and learn about grow bags today.
You're always welcome.
Well, for more information about growing in grow bags or containers, contact your local county extension office and talk to a master gardener. From the Ground Up, I'm Chris Mullins. We'll see you next time.
From the Ground Up is presented with the generous advice and assistance of Virginia Cooperative Extension. Visit their website at ext.vt.edu.
Hi, I'm Chef Tammy Brawley from the Green Kitchen. Coming up on Heart of the Home, spanakopita. Let's figure out what to do with that beautiful spinach coming in right now.
And now, a sneak peek into a day in the life of a Virginia dairy cow. They get their day started. They have some lunch. Get some exercise. Spend time with their friends. And then end their day with dairy sweet dreams. Real dairy, real life, real delicious.
Pastries are not always desserts. Chef Tammy Brawley shows us how to use fresh spinach for a delicious treat in the heart of the home.
I'm Chef Tammy Brawley from the Green Kitchen. Welcome to Heart of the Home. I'm excited to show you this recipe today to use up some of that beautiful Virginia spinach we've got growing right now. We're going to make a lovely appetizer dish called spanakopita. We're going to use phyllo dough, so if you've ever been intimidated by that, now's your chance to learn. Very easy recipe though. What we're going to do is we're going to start out by using some fresh Virginia spinach, and we're going to put it into a pan that's been warming. It's going to look like a lot of spinach, but when it wilts down, it really is not as much as you think. And what we're going to do is just add some water to that pan. I'm going to move it around. I can turn the heat up a little bit if I want. And you can certainly use frozen spinach in this recipe if you'd like, but there is a crucial step, whether you use fresh or frozen, that I'm going to show you in just a moment. So it's starting to wilt down, which is great. It doesn't take very long. Now the crucial step here that's important for both fresh and frozen is that you have a towel waiting. So it's wilted down to where we want it. Now this is the important step, whether you use fresh or frozen spinach. You want to remove the spinach to a towel. Put your spinach into the middle of a towel. And then you just want to squeeze it. You want to squeeze as much moisture out of it as you can, because you really don't want a wet mixture when you work with the phyllo dough. We'll talk about that in a moment. All right, so that is nice and squeezed out. We're going to remove the spinach to our cutting board. And I have a little bit extra from another batch, so we're going to go ahead and just add that to it. And now you're going to do a nice chop on that. And we're not looking for a really fine mince. We're just looking to kind of rough chop it up. But the last thing you would want is to have a large piece of spinach pull out of the spanakopita when you take a bite of it. So you really want to get a nice chop on it. All right, we're going to add that to a partial mixture I already have going. Now I'm going to add about 4 ounces or so, maybe more, of feta cheese. We're going to add a little kosher salt, not very much, because the feta cheese is notoriously salty. So just go kind of conservative on your salt. Little black pepper. But my favorite to add to this is some ground nutmeg and some white pepper, in addition to a little bit of lemon juice. All right, so we're going to mix that in together. I'm going to get in here with my hands because we play with our food in the kitchen. I'll set that over to the side for a moment because I'm going to turn my cutting board over to make it easier to work with the phyllo. You want to let it come to room temperature from the freezer, which is where it is sold in the grocery stores. But when you get the roll from the package, it's twice as wide. Because I know this is spanakopita that I'm working with, I only want half of it. So I actually cut the dough in half lengthwise. I'm going to put 1 piece of phyllo on my cutting board, my work surface. As you can see how thin it is. I have melted butter waiting. And we're just going to dab the melted butter on here. We're going to be using a lot of butter. So we're going to do a second sheet of dough. To a certain extent, phyllo can be very forgiving. But you wouldn't want to try to do this with just 1 sheet of dough. I have gotten into the habit of doing 3 sheets. So there we have 2. Now we're going to do a third right on top. And yes, a little bit more butter. All right. Now we're going to start with our filling. So now we're going to get probably about 1.5 tablespoons of our mixture onto the bottom of our phyllo dough that's been covered in butter. We're going to roll it up like a football. Yes, I used to do this when I was in high school. So you roll it up. We're going to make kind of a football, triangular football, side to side, corner to corner. It's got quite a bit of butter on it that's going to seal it for us, which is great. And we're going to put that on our baking tray. And we're going to pop these into a 350-degree oven for about 20 minutes or so until they are GBD, something I learned in culinary school, and it's golden brown and delicious. Stay tuned. All right, and there you have it, fresh out of the oven after about a half an hour. Golden brown and delicious spanakopita. I hope you learned a lot working with the phyllo dough today. You can see it's nice and brown and crispy. These are delicious snacks, appetizers. You could do a whole dinner from these. Fresh spinach, feta cheese, white pepper, a little bit of lemon juice, and a little bit of ground nutmeg. I'm Tammy Brawley from the Green Kitchen. Join us next time on Heart of the Home.
Recipes from the Heart of the Home can be found on the Virginia Farm Bureau website at vafb.com/recipes, as well as on Chef Tammy Brawley's website at greenkitchenrichmond.com.
Fresh spinach is one of the first greens harvested in the spring. Spinach is a cold-hardy crop to begin with, and many Virginia produce growers have added high tunnel operations that allow them to expand their production to almost year-round. Spinach is considered one of the healthiest foods you can eat. It's packed with vitamins, folic acid, iron, and calcium. It can be eaten raw or cooked. It's even easy to grow in the home garden. You can plant spinach seeds in nitrogen-rich soil as early as 6 weeks before the last frost.
In this week's County Agricultural Close-Up, we visit part of Virginia's river country. Burke Moeller reports that scenic York County has plenty of history and modern agriculture to share.
Located in the Hampton Roads region of Virginia, York County is best known for the Yorktown battlefield, where the British surrendered in 1781 and Alexander Hamilton made a name for himself. Today, about half of York County is owned by the federal government, whether it's the Yorktown Battlefield National Park, the Naval Weapons Station, or Camp Peary. And that, along with development, has had an impact on the amount of agriculture produced here.
As property taxes went up about 25 years ago, most of the commercial ag moved out of York County and moved towards like the James City area. We moved from commercial ag to urban ag, and with urban ag you're going to see more chicken keeping at home, more beekeeping, things of vegetable growing at home.
Indeed, York County has apiaries, or beekeepers, working to improve the local agricultural ecology. Nate Bronner is a master gardener and has been raising honeybees here for the last 7 years.
The honeybee was brought over 400 years ago this year to Jamestown as part of the resupply effort to bring some agriculture over to Jamestown and help them out. The advantage to the honeybee, as opposed to any other pollinator that we have out there, is honeybees are a highly eusocial insect. Now, because of that, they are able to differentiate tasks within their society. They're able to do more things and have a larger colony.
Bronner says he can get 50 pounds out of each container hive if everything goes right, and there are many applications for all that honey besides eating it.
It's a fantastic food. It's antimicrobial, antifungal, it's anti-inflammatory. I share it with family and friends, and there's a small amount that I'll sell to cover the costs of keeping my equipment and keeping the bees.
The Coleman Memorial Bridge carries Route 17 from Gloucester County into York County, and the middle span can move sideways to allow large naval vessels to pass. The county has a total of 40 farms on 914 acres. The market value of all agricultural products is $1,512,000. Nearly all of that is from crops, which bring in $1,135,000. Livestock brings in $377,000. There are a total of 78 agricultural producers in the county. Alan Wubbles and his wife have lived in York County for 40 years, and together they operate Forest Lane Botanicals. They grow perennials, cultivated perennial shrubs, and small trees.
We don't do any advertising, so it's The business that we developed over the years has been almost exclusively word of mouth. Yeah, we feel that we offer things, an experience that's different than a typical nursery or garden center, and we just love the interaction with other gardeners with whom we share a similar interest.
Wubbles recognizes that the soil isn't ideal for growing, but he's made some interesting finds digging up the ground here.
Our soil here is really a sandy loam. We're only a mile from the York River. Interestingly, when we dug our well here 40 years ago, the sediment that was brought up had lots of shark's teeth and things like that. So it just makes you wonder about the geological history of the area.
But finding the occasional shark's tooth hasn't stopped him from growing some exotic species, including the carnivorous Venus flytrap. At the southern end of the county, Joe Thornton operates Tees Birds and Bees. He moved to the area 30 years ago and keeps chickens, a pheasant, and even a couple of peacocks. He's also a beekeeper and grows a variety of crops, including kale, Florida broadleaf mustard, and other vegetables. He's seen how the county has changed over the years since he first arrived.
I jokingly call it today York City, and I got fortunate enough to find this little slice of heaven in the middle of the city. But in 30 years, it's grown up all around me. When you would see one or two cars in an hour, now you see one or two in a minute or a second. York County has grown. I mean, obviously that's good. Everybody wants to come to York County. But unfortunately, when they come to York County, they seem to want to bring the city with them and want all the amenities that go along with the city.
Even with the changes, Thornton still finds pleasure in growing things.
I absolutely love it. There's nothing, it's hard to compare taking a small plant or a seed and putting it in the ground, watching it sprout, grow, develop, and produce some fruit in there. It's hard to compare the feeling and never even adequately describe it, but it makes my day when I can see that ear of corn ready to pick, or those beans ready to pull from the bush, or the blueberries ready to pick.
No matter what changes the future may bring, those involved in agriculture in York County will keep doing what they love for generations to come. In York County, I'm Burke Moeller reporting.
We're so glad you could join us this week to celebrate all the bounty Virginia has to offer. From the kitchen to your home and garden to our beautiful wide open spaces, we are proud to say that this is real Virginia. For everyone from the Virginia Farm Bureau, thanks for watching. Make it a great week.
Home will always be Virginia, between the Blue Ridge and Chesapeake Bay.